This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, which, by the way, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Only 20% of my viewers are subscribers. Let me get into my daily news update, which I do almost every day here, as well as on the Hannibal TV Facebook page. Summerslam took place Saturday night with quite a bit of news coming out of the event. Roman Reigns retained his title over John Cena. No surprise there. The surprise happened after the match during Roman Reigns' posing routine. Brock Lesnar's music hit, and according to reports, the crowd went nuts. Lesnar came out in his jeans, his man bun, and his black tank top, and got in Roman Reigns' face until Reigns backed off and left the ring. From what I heard of reports, it looked like Brock Lesnar was going to hold off returning till around WrestleMania time, but maybe with everything heating up with AEW, WWE offered him the right amount to make him come back and give them some star power, because I think Cena is only going to be around until sometime about the Madison Square Garden event that's coming up in September. Goldberg, no surprise, lost his match against Lashley. The reports I read from that match is it was not a good match, and the finish was like a referee stoppage due to a leg injury that Goldberg had or something. It's hard for people to have like sympathy for referee stoppages in professional wrestling, with so much violent sports out there these days, on the internet and on TV. Somebody faking a leg injury and a referee stoppage, it's a little harder to get that crowd sympathy, and apparently the crowd was booing most of that match. It came out that Goldberg makes about $2 million a match in the Observer this week, and he also has 2 matches left on his contract, which goes until the end of 2022. Becky Lynch returned and won the Women's Championship, replacing Sasha Banks against Bianca Belair. So obviously they're trying to get all the star power back they can get. Charlotte won the other women's title, defeating Nikki Ash, who the crowd was shitting on with the superhero gimmick. Apparently during the Thunderdome time when they were using the fake crowd noise, the writers were actually convinced that this was a good gimmick and was getting over. But once they started putting this Nikki Ash superhero crap in front of fans, the fans were booing the hell out of it. So it doesn't surprise me. And showing that Charlotte Flair won the title makes me believe that more likely than not, she definitely asked for the time off for that event in Charlotte a week ago, the WWE house show that she was advertised for and didn't appear at. So you could only guess that WWE knew she wasn't going to be there and didn't say anything, like a lot of companies do when they know that there's going to be a no-show. Smackdown did a 0.55 rating last night. No news on what the AEW rating was for CM Punk's return. Don't know if that's going to come out tomorrow or Monday, but I don't think it's going to beat the 0.55 that SmackDown did. WWE is going to make their return to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to collect that alleged $40 million payoff October the 21st. According to Dave Meltzer, you can expect Bray Wyatt to start in AEW sooner than later. Well, apparently there hasn't been a pen to paper yet. It could be very possible, and you have to think that with I'm forgetting their names now, but there was two others in the Wyatt family, Braun Strowman and the third member that's still alive. You'd have to think they could bring in the three living members, since they seem to be bringing in all the WWE guys. Remember when they said that they weren't going to do that? And now they have actually done that, even with that 2.0 group that used to be known as Everrise when they were NXT jobbers. They even signed those two. And by the way, they were jobbers on the Canadian independent scene as well. And there's so much better talent out there on the Canadian independent scene than those guys who already had a chance to get over and failed. Mike Bailey is one guy that's better than them. So is Jeremy Prophet, the current Canadian heavyweight champion, as is Rene Dupree, who really should get another shot. He's in better shape than ever and a phenomenal wrestler. He is going to have his shot at the Blood Hunters Great North Wrestling title and Texas title. Blood Hunter is still the Texas heavyweight champion next Saturday on the 7 p.m. event in Kingston, Ontario. There has also been a 3 p.m. event added. So there's going to be 2 Great North Wrestling tapings in one day in Kingston, Ontario next Saturday. You can get your tickets at the door or at ticketweb.ca. I've been going through hell dealing with these COVID restrictions, which the rules are getting worse, far worse than when I originally started planning this event. So you can safely say there's not going to be another Great North Wrestling event this year. So make the trip out. If you're from Ottawa or Toronto, it's only 2 hours away. Go to one or both of these events. Tickets are limited, so get them in advance if possible. I found this picture today that I took of Steve Austin beating up Triple H back on November 21st, 1996 in Hull, Quebec. I was looking for some pictures for my book that I'm working on right now. And I looked up this show. It had 1,732 fans, and Steve Austin won this match by disqualification. And the interesting part about that is that was the last WWE show ever in Hull. As Piper is entering my room now, but she doesn't want to seem to be appearing. But yeah, that was just after the Survivor Series 96. And they never returned to Hull. They went there from about 87 to 96 here and there, but never came back. And here she is to say hello. She was actually barbecuing out in the backyard earlier. Maybe I'll put that picture up for some of the fans. She's helping me barbecue. I won't get into all your questions because I can see there's already 60 on here, but Sal says, awesome. He's happy Brock Lesnar's back. Scott wants to know how you tip. You're watching on Facebook, on the Hannibal TV Facebook page. You have to watch on the YouTube page and have your credit card attached to your YouTube account. Rye Dog checking in. Mike, I just showed Piper. Lex Rivers, a hell of an ending. Well, it was a surprise, but I'd like to see some more action. Everyone's talking about how great the CM Punk thing was. And some people were calling me a hater because I said I watched about a minute of it, that I listened to the rest of the speech and did other work, because at some point I want to see action. I don't just want to hear people ramble. But good to see Brock Lesnar back. He's the one guy that if I had been Tony Khan, I would have tried to get Lesnar. Martin says Brock looked jacked. Well, we've already found out years ago there's no testing that applies to the part-timers. And even if you're a full-timer, it seems like they allow testosterone replacement therapy. And from what I understand, they don't even test for growth hormone. Someone's watching the Pope versus Manny Pacquiao. Mike said it was a boring pay-per-view. They called in favors to get some appearances. Greg, I don't want to watch the pay-per-view. I don't want to watch the pay-per-view. I would have to be paid like probably $600 at this point to sit through a WWE pay-per-view. I'm over wrestling. And I work in wrestling, so that's just not something I'm interested in. I don't want to do reviews of pay-per-views and Raws if I have to sit through that and torture myself every week. Herb Simmons, who has a weekly show on this channel, as well as the Hannibal TV Facebook page, Sundays at 9 p.m., checking in. Scott does not like Goldberg or Cena. Well, they have been helping ratings and attendance. Roddy, watching on the Great North Wrestling Twitch channel. We are on Twitch, Great North Wrestling. He says WWE has done a poor job of building up young talent. They have no choice to bring back old timers. Well, there's also none of the young talent taking the ball and running with it or making their own opportunities. I don't feel bad for any of them. How many gimmicks did they give Bray Wyatt? How many? He got a million chances to get over. And obviously, he wasn't making them enough money or they wouldn't have got rid of him. So I don't feel bad for people that have had a million chances when me in my life, I only got one chance and Abdullah the Butcher took it away from me. So I have no sympathy for people that have had 5 or 6 different gimmicks or opportunities and not used them. Morgan says Nikki Ash is the worst gimmick. It's up there for sure. Definitely. Hello, Anthony. I'm doing great. We're in a heat wave now here. I think you're also from Ottawa, and I'm looking forward to getting out and running in the heat wave. Someone says he's been watching wrestling for 50 years. Cool. Frankie would rather watch Three's Company than SummerSlam. Sammy says WWE took that money. I don't know if you're talking about the Saudi Arabia money or what. Sammy, yeah, they supposedly make $40 million an event over in Saudi Arabia. They try and whitewash their image through that, as Mike says, Saudi blood money. Look up a bit about the human rights in Saudi Arabia, and you'll be shocked. Pulsar Light says boxing and UFC on the same day as SummerSlam. Why do it all on the same day? I don't know. I don't book for WWE. Oh, Al brings up, yes, of course, the third surviving Wyatt member is Eric Rowan, who now goes by Eric Redbeard. I could see them. He hasn't really done much since his release. I don't even know if he's done a handful of independent appearances. So I'm sure he'll be back. The Centennial thought Lesnar's return was epic. Sammy says they're not buying Goldberg this time around. Spencer says bringing him back was a reaction to CM Punk on Rampage. Mike, am I going to interview the Beverly Brothers? I would say more likely than not, yes. Why not? I'd be curious to know their experiences with Lanny Poffo. Tommy says hello. The Rye Dog liked the picture of Austin and Triple H in '96. Yes. That was a bad crowd, though, which is probably why WWE never went back there. I wrestled there twice since then, once for TNA in 2007 and once for Jacques Rougeau in 2014. And the Jacques Rougeau show was sold out, believe it or not. The TNA show had about the same as the WWE show did. That was when TNA was hot, and I was also helping promote it. But Jacques had a legitimate sellout. It holds 4,000 or so. Scott says CM Punk is, and will always be overrated. Well, we'll see if he makes a difference in ratings after the first couple of weeks. Rick B says Lanny Poffo is the master of self-service. Tyler, I don't blame CM Punk for not beating Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall was a way better caliber fighter, but he should have had a better performance against Mike Jackson, who was another 0-1 fighter who never fought even since that fight with Punk. And I don't know. He had such great trainers. I guess I am jealous that I never had 2 or 3 years of training with the absolute best MMA trainers, because that would have been just amazing if I could just have trained for years in MMA under amazing trainers and not had to work regular jobs or anything. That would have been amazing for someone like me. So I suppose I am jealous that he got to do that and still didn't perform well, because I interviewed Forrest Griffin before his second fight, before CM Punk's second fight. And Forrest said the UFC expected CM Punk to win that second fight. That was in Punk's favor. Scott doesn't believe Punk will make a difference and feels he will burn out quickly. Said he will never be a draw. Well, I will say he was a draw in Chicago last night. All of his fans came to see him in Chicago last night. Cam misses WCW. I miss WCW too. 100%. Rolo says CM Punk is skinny. Well, I bet he's making a fortune in AEW, because I looked at the press conference that him and Tony Khan had after Rampage, and Khan was looking at him like a fan. So pretty much like a giddy schoolboy is how I would describe it. You people could watch yourself, and you'd probably have the same assessment. So I'm sure Punk got a huge amount of money for that, which is probably why Punk was so happy too. So good for him. I'm kind of offended by his performance in UFC. It made wrestlers look weak. But other than that, I don't have any issues with him. What about, says Tony Khan, is the super money mark? Well, I'm going to get out there and run. Thanks for all your comments. Sorry I can't read them all tonight.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.